and I am Dr. Tiffany Slater, the CEO and Senior Human Resources Consultant for HR TaylorMade. And I am super excited to have a conversation about hiring with my friend, my sister, my contact for all things recruiting. So Ashley Butler, welcome to
Thank you so
my
much.
life.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have a conversation around hiring, around all the things in hiring.
Exactly. Well, thank you. So, first, Ashley, who are you and what do you do? What makes you an authority on hiring?
Yes, so I am Ashley Butler. Thank you for the introduction. I am the CEO of Imperative Recruiting, and we are a recruiting firm that specializes in recruiting services for startups, specifically in the health and tech field. So we have been able to help a lot of different companies between Series A and D, really with their funding to find some really amazing talent. We also work with a lot of other groups and organizations and nonprofits, recruiting and finding great people, hopefully that last a long time with your business.
Love it. So, thank you. And so, for those of you who follow me, you know that this month is all about hiring, the do's and don'ts. Are you ready to hire? And so, today, what we're talking about are the top mistakes to avoid when hiring. What do you think, Ashley?
There's lots of things to avoid when, when hiring, or things to think about, or things to keep in mind. But I I think I want to start with kind of getting away from just focusing on a job title and really focusing on what you want your new hire to do. So really write out the deliverables, the expectations, and make sure that that's really clear. And then you
Mhm.
can kind of get to a job title, because job title is very important, and it's very compensation driven. So you want to make sure that you can align what you're looking for with your budget, with the correct job title. So it's kind of a dance all together to make sure that those things are aligned, but definitely want to make sure that you are very comfortable in what you want your new person to do.
Mhm.
Also, when you're hiring for a position that maybe just came available, somebody just resigned, or you're wanting to start a brand new position, kind of talk to some colleagues and kind of get some ideas, do some play scenarios about, this is what I'm looking for this person to do. Does this sound like this is an account manager or an account executive or a
Mhm.
director of accounts? So kind of pick some brains and see what works best for you.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I say when I guess, teaching people
Mhm.
in the small business space how to hire or prepare for their next role is I always have them to write out exactly what they hope for this position to do.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then go to like Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter and look for other positions that are similarly situated in terms of the responsibilities, and then pick a title.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Very few roles are so unique to an organization that they've never been
Yes.
done before. So
Exactly.
you can find a lot of really good information by just doing the research and kind of backpedaling into it, of
Mhm.
what kind of ROI am I expecting? Is this
Yes.
an income generating role? Is this an admin back office support role where it'll allow my other staff members or myself to do X, Y, and Z? What
Mhm.
does that look like? Because then you can really have a very solid gauge of, is this successful or not, and when to make a change and things like that.
Yes, I love it. And so, one of the things that I also think is important for um, individuals to or companies to avoid when it comes to hiring is to avoid only going off of a gut feeling.
Yes. Yeah. Gut feelings are always important, and they
They
are always,
are.
we always want to keep them in mind,
Yes.
because you'll second guess yourself or say like, well, I had a feeling, or I knew it. Bring in your trusted team, bring in your senior management team. If it is just you, that is okay as well. I
Yes.
would also suggest, kind of a pitfall, I think, in hiring is not having a hiring strategy.
Mhm.
before you start the
Mm.
interviews, identifying how many rounds of interviews you want to have. If this is an in-person role, bringing them on site. If it's completely remote, you want to start with a phone screen and then go to a 30-minute Zoom and then go to an hour's, whatever that looks like for you, though, try to have that a little bit more mapped out before you jump into interviews, just so it's a more seamless communication process for yourself and the candidate as well. Because candidates are a hot commodity right now, as we all know.
They are.
It's a very hot candidate market. So they're testing you also. They're seeing why I want to work for your company and what
Mhm.
works well for them also. So you want it to be mutually beneficial for sure. But
Absolutely.
please don't just rely on your gut. Use it in use it also in comparison to your questions that you ask, kind of researching some interview questions. I tend to ask a lot of situational interview questions.
Mhm.
I really like the what was the last mistake you made
Yeah.
and how are you able to rectify it? How are you able to communicate, communicate up, communicate down, depending upon what the role is. I think they're really good questions to ask
Mhm.
outside of what's your weakness? I'm too committed. Those don't really get to the questions and the information that you're looking for.
Exactly. I agree with that. And the other thing for people to realize as it relates to hiring is that there are specific laws that are in place that we all have to follow. And
Yes.
so when it comes to hiring, if it's your first employee or your fifth,
Hmm.
you have to understand the laws that apply to you and your team. And specifically in this remote environment, just because your business is registered in the state of Tennessee and your
Correct.
team members are sprinkled all over the place, that doesn't mean that the only laws you have to follow are the ones for the state of Tennessee. You have to follow
Absolutely.
the employment laws for every single state.
Yes.
So that's another pitfall and something that individuals have to remember when it comes to hiring. The other one that's super important is you gotta, along the lines of the laws, you've got to understand the training that may be required by some states.
Onboarding is very important
Mhm.
to take a look at what back to like the state specifics. California employment laws are very different from New York employment laws, and those are two specific states that have quite a few. They're very employee friendly, which is amazing, but you do have to be very well versed in those. What is your PTO policy? What is your sick leave? What is your unpaid policy? And these are all things that have to be considered. I don't want them to deter you from from hiring at all, but they
Yes.
have to be considered. They have to be taken into account of what type of employment taxes you're paying, unemployment taxes. You have to register in that state as well to pay those taxes. So it's lots of things
Yeah.
to jump through that are very very important in your due diligence when you're considering hiring for an especially fully remote team. And that's something
Absolutely.
to consider as well if are looking to hire in a specific state.
Mhm.
I have lots of clients who work like that, who it may be, 85% hybrid. You might
Mhm.
have to go in for a quarterly meeting, but they really need their employees to be in the state that they've registered their company
Yeah.
because it makes more sense for them, especially accounting companies.
Yeah.
They like that a lot.
So Ashley, talk to me about I call them performance tasks,
Mhm.
activities that you have applicants or candidates to do during the hiring process so that you can determine their skill level. What are your thoughts about that?
So I think they're important because I think they show a few different things. I think they show the candidates excitement and kind of willingness to do those things. I think it's always in moderation. You want to keep in mind that you are not expecting your applicant to do an income generating project for you for no pay sort of thing. There are lots of different ways to do things, but you want to consider that as
Mhm.
well. I like more kind of personality assessments, kind of, Myers-Briggs disc assessments to see culture fit is
Mhm.
so important. Whether the skill set is there or not is obviously very important, but making sure that they're the right sort of team member that you're building for your culture and for your company, and that they're in the right place. Are they looking for, are they looking for a lot of job development or professional development opportunities? Is that something important to them so that they can potentially grow with your company and you can see them developing and getting promoted? So things like that are really important to consider. I've used a few different companies for like testing and things like that for in-house assessments. I always think they're beneficial.
Yeah.
They're beneficial to see someone work. However, it is a very candidate driven market as well. And
Yeah.
there are some candidates who feel they're too senior to do those sorts of things.
Mhm.
So you have to just be mindful and just kind of take yourself out of it. I like to bring in someone who's not in the industry to ask, if you were looking for a new job and I asked you to do A, B, and C, how does that look for you? Like, how does
Mhm.
that feel? Does that feel like that makes sense for me to do this for a new role? Or it sounds like they're making me jump through hoops and it doesn't make sense. So going back and forth there is important.
Yeah.
Um, but I think going back to having a strong strategy as well and being able to outline, we have 8 different steps in this interview process. If you stand on that, then
Yeah.
that's okay. You
Mhm.
communicate that to the candidate and you sell your company every step of the way. They're excited to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. So in terms of, communicating that just a little differently and in line with our topic in terms of top mistakes to avoid, I would say that what Ashley said, we need to avoid only relying on the verbal communication and the resume or application for an individual. So we've got those things, we've got our gut, but we also have the opportunity to have these individuals to do some sort of task that allows us to experience what it would be like to have work done by them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that that is, I truly believe that that's important as well. We often have people to say, "Oh yeah, 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 I know how to do that. I know how to
Yep.
do that." But when you
Yep.
dig into it, they're like, "Oh, I've only used it a few times."
Mhm.
Well, using it a few times and really knowing how to do something is very different, and you'd be able to ascertain that information by having them to do performance tasks.
Exactly. Working interviews work as well. Same type of philosophy and same type of undertone. Having
Yes.
them share their screen, going through a thought process. Those types of things are very important, like to creative sorts of roles, graphic designers, things like that. How do you get here? What sorts of things are inspire you? What's your mood board look like? So just blocking off an hour and working with them and looking kind of a peephole in to see kind of their process is
Yes.
also a very helpful way to kind of be efficient with your time as well and be
Mhm.
able to see them complete a task.
I love that, Ashley. That's actually something, that I hadn't considered even for the roles that I
Mhm.
hire for. One of the things that we do all the time is we do policy development for our clients. And
Yes.
I've never thought that in the interview that I could say to someone, "Okay, we need a work from home policy. Show
Yep.
me show me the steps you would take to develop one." And just sit
Exactly.
there and watch them.
Exactly. And even if you don't get that final product, you're looking at, well,
Yeah,
what questions did they ask? What
yeah,
sort of research are they thinking about doing? Is this
yes,
in line with what I was thinking? Um, that helps even with your training as well. You
yes.
can see that in the interview. I saw that you have, steps 1 through 4, have
Mhm,
some gaps here that we can train up on and things like that.
mhm.
So that's a really positive way to do it
That's
as well.
awesome, that's awesome. Anything else? Anything else in terms of, mistakes to avoid when hiring?
I want I think to don't make any assumptions is probably my last point. Make sure that expectations are clear, that what you are looking for in this role is very clear. Just the clearer the better, really. Just not to make assumptions, even in the smallest of tasks. If you're looking for it done a certain way, that has to be verbalized, that it has to be written down so that your team can really thrive. You really want to set them up for success, make sure that they have all the resources that they need, and be able to ask questions when needed, and not, really just be an added resource to your
Yeah.
team.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. And I hope that you all got lots of from this conversation. One thing to remember, there's zero way for us to share all of the mistakes that you should avoid. Even if we say the top mistakes, there's so many mistakes that could happen in the hiring process. But if I had to sum it up, I would say, don't just rely on your gut. There are several sources of information that you should draw from when
Yes.
determining if a person is going to be a good fit for your organization. Make sure that when you're designing your job description that you don't go look for a job title first. I list out the tasks and the results that you hope for that role to deliver to your organization. Then go find a title. Really, you can call it whatever you want to because it's your
Exactly. Yes. Yes, it is your job. You can title it whatever you want.
exactly. So that's another thing to remember. Another thing to remember when you're hiring, if it's your first role or position, make sure you have enough money. Make sure you have the cash flow to not only pay the person their salary, but to pay their benefits if you're offering benefits, and perhaps if they're offered are required by the state, and to pay the taxes on the employee's wages. So remember, that is super important as well.
Research the salary as well, and go with your budget. Kind of take everything that Dr. Tiffany has talked about in regards to the job description, the tasks, the deliverables, what they're looking to do, and then research that based upon your budget as well. Are you asking for too much? Is it in line? Does it make sense? Can you bump up a few more thousand to make it competitive? Think about those things as well. Your budget is very important to you, your bottom line, and the candidate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you want to know more about hiring, join me at a Hello Alice seminar this Thursday. You can go to helloalice.org, I believe it is, to get more information. And it'll be in the notes for you if you are interested in that. And Ashley, how can they reach you?
Yes. If anyone is interested, you can reach me at imperativerecruiting.com. Email is ashley@imperativerecruiting.com, and we can assist with any of your recruiting needs.
I love it. And I love working with Ashley. So will you. And don't forget, we are HR Tailor Made. We are the virtual HR team that every small organization needs for their team. You can reach us at hrtailormade.com. Don't forget to like and share and always comment. But until next time, until next Monday, be kind to yourself. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.